I've been following XRP chart analysts for what feels like forever. Nearly a decade, in fact. And let me tell you, the ones I follow, excluding the occasional toxic Bitcoin maxi trolls I keep around for laughs, have been spot on. Every single one of them correctly predicted that XRP would break out during this market cycle. I've shared countless examples of their insights throughout 2024. Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have earned over $34,000 in profits, with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today. Long before XRP made its big move to the upside, they nailed it. And here's the exciting part. The same analysts I trust are now saying XRP isn't done yet. After hitting a new all-time high on January 16th, breaking a 7-year record, they're all predicting another surge is coming. All signs point to XRP smashing through another all-time high and finally entering price discovery. It's great to see the buzz around XRP, and credit where it's due. Analysts have been spot on about the breakout so far, backing their predictions with solid reasoning. But here's where it gets interesting. The predictions for how high XRP could go are all over the map. Some analysts, though they're in the minority, are sticking to a conservative estimate, suggesting XRP might peak around $5 this cycle. Now, they're not necessarily saying that's the absolute ceiling, it's just what they feel comfortable projecting based on their research. Fair enough. On the other hand, a lot of analysts are leaning towards double-digit targets, and honestly, that doesn't sound too wild given the momentum. Could it happen? Maybe. I'll admit I'm not the guy making price calls, I leave the charts to the pros. But the confidence in XRP hitting double digits from so many experts is hard to ignore. Either way, it's an exciting time to watch this space. I'm just an ordinary guy like the rest of you, keeping tabs on all this stuff. Honestly, I'm super into it because, let's face it, it's a lot more exciting when you've got some skin in the game. Sure, it can be terrifying if the market's tanking and your money's on the line, but either way, I enjoy following it all. Of course, I've got my opinions like anyone else. So when people talk about XRP hitting double digits this market cycle, I'm like, okay, maybe that's not too far-fetched. If we're talking the lower end of double digits, that might actually be conservative. But the moment someone throws out 3 digits, like 100 plus this cycle, I start to check out. And then there's the 4-digit crowd. XRP hitting $1,000 this cycle? Sorry, but that's where I completely lose you. At that point, I can't help but wonder, are you just trying to grift, or is there something deeper going on? Maybe you genuinely can't process data or think rationally about this stuff. Whatever the case, when I hear those wild predictions, I'm just like, nope, I'm out. There aren't too many analysts out there making bold predictions for this market cycle, at least none that I'm aware of. If I'm missing something, feel free to let me know. What's fascinating, though, is the wide range of opinions on where XRP's price might land during this cycle. It's a topic that sparks thoughtful debate, civil discourse, and honestly, some pretty intriguing conversations. Now, I'll admit, I'm not fully convinced we'll see XRP hit triple digits this cycle. I've always been on the conservative side when it comes to price expectations, grounded in what I believe is a more realistic outlook. But even with my cautious perspective, I'll absolutely acknowledge that 3-digit XRP is still within the realm of possibility. I just don't see it happening this cycle. Look, I'll gladly eat humble pie and cheer for everyone cashing in if I'm wrong, but 3-digit XRP this cycle? Not a chance in my opinion. Now, if we're talking about the distant future, with mass crypto adoption and XRP carving out a solid share of the market, then sure, it's possible. There's no shortage of money in the world to make that happen. But right now, I just don't see it. Some folks believe it might not happen this cycle, but maybe the next one. I'm still a bit skeptical, but who knows? If crypto adoption starts growing exponentially, that could change everything. Exponential growth has a way of rewriting the rules, doesn't it? It's definitely something to watch. Speaking of which, shout out to analyst Javon Marks. He's one of the sharp minds I've been following, and he nailed his call on XRP breaking out this market cycle. Credit where it's due. Alright, let's talk about this. Sure, I think some of these price predictions from analysts are overshooting reality. Just my 2 cents. I'm human, I could be wrong. But here's the thing. Even if I don't fully agree, I'll absolutely give credit where it's due. If an analyst nailed this breakout, that deserves recognition. especially given the backlash from some of those toxic Bitcoin maximalists. Seriously, props to them. That said, I'm still not buying into the idea that XRP is hitting triple digits this cycle. It just doesn't seem realistic to me. But hey, not everyone agrees with me, and that's cool. Take chart analyst Javon Marks, for example. He has a totally different take, and I'm all for sharing diverse opinions here. It's what keeps things interesting, right? Opinions are just that. Opinions. So here's what Javon shared on X. XRP's next bullish wave looks to be brewing, and based on past performance, it could hit the 1.618 Fibonacci level, which sits around $16.50. If it mirrors the last bull cycle though, it could soar to over $100. That's nearly a 40x gain in a bear market. Wild, huh? Now let's see how this plays out. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that's totally fine. Now, about XRP hitting $16.50. Could it happen? Honestly, I don't know, but it doesn't sound far-fetched. If it does happen, I wouldn't be shocked. And if it doesn't, still not shocked. There's this range where no matter what happens, I won't be surprised. If XRP peaks at $8, sure, that's believable. If it skyrockets to $16.50, also believable. If it climbs slightly over $20, yep, still not outrageous. But if it goes much lower or higher than that range, then yeah, I'd start raising my eyebrows. I know it's a pretty broad spectrum, but none of it feels crazy when you think about how crypto historically moves. Now, if it tops out at $5 or $6, I'd be like, wait, really? That's all? Could it happen? Sure. Do I think it will? Not really. On the flip side, those predicting XRP breaking $30 this cycle, they might be onto something. It's not impossible. The higher Bitcoin runs, the better XRP's chances are, not just keeping up, but absolutely crushing Bitcoin's performance. And that honestly would be wild to see. The key takeaway here is simple. More money flows into XRP. As Bitcoin climbs higher, profits from its cycles naturally rotate into other assets. That's the magic of market rotation, folks. A chunk of that rotation inevitably lands in XRP. Then comes the big green candle, catching everyone's attention. Cue the frenzy of people who know next to nothing about XRP, but can't resist the fear of missing out. Greed kicks in, and suddenly, it's a flurry of take my money moments straight out of a Futurama meme. It's human nature on full display, and XRP becomes the hot ticket of the hour. Yes, exactly. That's the kind of thing we're seeing here. 3 digits this cycle? I'll have to confidently say no. And hey, if I'm wrong, so be it. I'll gladly eat my words. No ego here, I promise. I'm not afraid to be proven wrong. These are just my honest thoughts. Now, let's flip to the more cautious perspective. Here's something from the Blockchain Backer, a fantastic creator who shared a video just 2 days ago. Incredible video, by the way. I actually spotlighted this just yesterday. So here's the deal. The XRP price chart suggests a peak in this cycle between $8 and $10, based on both the XRP USD and XRP Bitcoin charts. His case? It's thorough, mathematical, and honestly, pretty compelling. He breaks it all down in a way that just makes sense. Honestly, he's one of the best chart analysts out there. Not just in the XRP community, but in all of crypto, in my opinion. We're lucky to have him around, and that's just the truth. I think he's brilliant. His approach leans more conservative, sure, but I respect that. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I naturally lean toward a more cautious perspective anyway. Some of the more outrageous takes out there, well, to me, they just feel over the top. I mean, come on, let's be real. Some of it is just noise, and I'm like, nope, not buying it. Looking back once the cycle's complete, you might think, wow, he was too conservative. Blockchain Backer really played it safe. Or maybe you'll see the opposite and realize, wow, he absolutely nailed it. Either way, it's fascinating to watch it all unfold. I'm not taking sides on this one, but I found it fascinating to watch these chart analysts go head to head, engaging in some truly intellectual and civil sparring. It's rare to see such a thoughtful exchange, and I wanted to shine a light on it because this short thread really caught my attention. Crypto Insight UK chimed in after watching the video, sharing some interesting insights. Both of these analysts, who I've been following for quite some time, had predicted XRP's breakout this market cycle. And guess what? They were both spot on. No matter whose perspective resonates more with you, credit where it's due. Both nailed it. It's always a treat to see sharp minds dive into chart analysis, and deliver a respectful back-and-forth discussion like this. Crypto Insight UK recently shared a video from the blockchain backer, diving into the prediction of XRP hitting $8 to $10 this cycle peak. Mathematically, it makes sense, and if you're curious about the detailed technical analysis behind it, I'd recommend checking out the full video. But let's focus on what Crypto Insight UK had to say about it. A fantastic explanation by the blockchain backer, they noted. But I have a genuine question. Why are you so certain the XRP BTC pair tops out at 8,200 sats? I see it as a significant resistance level, but your thesis hinges on it not breaking past that. Am I missing something? It's a fair question, and a thought-provoking one at that. The blockchain backer's take comes from analyzing historical price performance, which is undeniably valuable. But could we see something unexpected? Could XRP push past uncharted barriers and enter a whole new level of price discovery? Only time will tell. And that's exactly what happens sometimes. Take XRP in 2016, for example. No one could have predicted it would skyrocket 80,000%. But guess what? It did. The point here is that unexpected things do happen. But what I think the blockchain backer is really getting at, without putting words in his mouth, is that his analysis isn't about wild, unprecedented scenarios suddenly playing out. Instead, he's focused on what the math and historical patterns actually show. And if we're sticking to just that, his argument is clear. No, those extremes don't align with the data. I respect his perspective because it's grounded and logical. While I'm no chart expert myself, I can absolutely follow his reasoning. His approach just makes sense. Anyway, the blockchain backer did chime in, replying to Crypto Insight UK. He thanked them for the compliment and said, "As for your question, I explained that in detail in the video quoted. It's just math and measurements. Stepping beyond measurements and historical norms is where speculation truly begins, and that's what I'm working with here. Respect to anyone diving into that space, no question." Here's the thing, I see plenty of analysts throwing out sky-high XRP price targets. And yes, if they nailed the breakout prediction, they deserve credit for that. Absolutely. Credit where it's due. But many of these lofty predictions are based on percentage increases from previous cycles. That logic falls apart when you factor in the sheer amount of money now tied up in the asset. The bigger the market, the harder it is to achieve those same massive jumps. It's just not realistic anymore. Some of these predictions feel like a shot in the dark. If X happens, then Y is possible, without any solid historical precedent. That's where I start checking out. If there's no reasonable foundation for the claim, I'm just not sold. Persuade me. Connect the dots. Give me something grounded to believe in. That's all I'm saying. On that note, the blockchain backer shared an intriguing XRP/BTC chart worth diving into. He said it looks reasonable to assume a range between 8,000 and 12,000 based on somewhat loose stats. Still, the measurement points to 8,200. Crypto Insight UK jumped in, saying, "Yeah, you've answered my question. It's an area of confluence or corroboration, as you like to put it. Essentially, the math indicates this is a solid resistance zone within retracement levels. Not necessarily the peak, assuming we don't revisit range highs or expand versus Bitcoin. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we're talking historic precedent and range highs, there's also the separate question. Are we heading into uncharted territory? That's why the discussion is so relevant. If you're predicting massive price leaps, I'll admit the higher the numbers, the more skeptical I get. But hey, price discovery is a real thing in markets, and we're still waiting to see that unfold with XRP against the dollar, beyond just Bitcoin versus the dollar. Now imagine this, Bitcoin takes off against the dollar. Then XRP starts catching up to Bitcoin on the XRP/BTC pair. What does that mean for XRP per USD? Obvious answer, way higher. That's where this whole thing gets incredibly exciting. So, Crypto Insight UK continues, saying that unless we revisit the range high Bitcoin scenario, that's where I left off. The focus is on these areas for logical reasons. He mentions fib retracements versus dollar, market cap targets, and a few other factors. But when it comes to XRP versus Bitcoin, there's nothing super technical, just that it's hitting a strong resistance zone. That's where the thought ends. Then, the blockchain banker jumps in, looking at things from an Ethereum perspective. He suggests this could mark the actual top, drawing parallels to similar patterns seen with Ethereum. It's an interesting comparison, another example to reflect on. Honestly, I'm not pretending to know where this will top out. Like everyone else, I'm just here to observe and speculate. At the end of the day, we all have our own takes, and that's fine. For me, I just want to root my beliefs in something plausible. Whether I'm just a regular Joe trying to piece it all together, or someone taking a deeper dive, I aim to stay as grounded as possible. No point in blindly chasing ideas that don't hold up to scrutiny. Whether my expectations are too high or too low, I'm not here to chase fantasies. I'm here to focus on what's realistic. Like anyone trying to be rational, I'm aiming for a balanced view of what's possible. Now here's the thing. Even if XRP only reaches $10, it's wild to call that only, isn't it? For so many of you listening, that would still be absolutely life-changing. Honestly, it'd be a game changer for me too. The truth is, we don't need those sky-high, pie-in-the-sky predictions to hit our goals. Of course, I know perspectives vary, especially if you've jumped in recently. But hey, maybe those analysts fantasizing about way higher numbers are onto something, and maybe you'll catch that wave too. And if it doesn't happen this cycle, guess what? There's always the next one. The winners in investing are the ones who hold steady, stay committed, and exercise patience like pros. You don't score your Lambo on your timeline. It happens when the market decides. Keep your eyes on the prize. Unless luck is on your side, timing the perfect moment is rarely in your control. When it comes to investing, patience and persistence are the name of the game. But here's the exciting part about XRP. It's in a space with so much untapped potential. If the crypto market keeps booming and XRP's utility continues to prove itself, more money is bound to flow in over time. The key? Hold steady and let time do its thing. Sure, we might not know the exact dollar amounts or timelines, but if the fundamentals hold true, the payoff is inevitable. That's why, after more than 7 years in this space, I'm still here. And honestly, it's shaping up to be an incredible journey. Alright, so the SEC threw us a curveball that derailed years of work. We missed the market cycle. Ouch. But you know what? I still believe we're on the right track, and it seems like investors worldwide are on the same page. So I'm holding the line. Whatever the outcome is, and I want you to tell me in the comments what you think is most likely, I have a feeling most of us are going to be pretty thrilled. Call it optimism, call it gut instinct. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't go buying or selling based on anything I say. If I'm even remotely correct, making impulsive moves would be, well, a terrible idea.